So this was an introduction to 3 dimensions that I want you to keep in mind while we are going to talk about all this, knowing that discussing the concept of liberty and freedom, it has to be done at many levels. Of course, there is the religious level, which is quite important for us. The second one is the philosophical level. What can we extract from this? And be careful. This complex that we have with philosophy, it came in Islam in the Middle Age, after the Middle Ages, when we started to be less confident with our religion, with our principles. When you are confident, when you know the very essence of your religion, you are not scared of any philosophical discussion. Why? Because as Jamaluddin al-Afghani was saying this, talking to Renan, the French philosopher, atheist and secular, he was saying, I'm extracting from the Quran the philosophy of life. So come with your foot. As Musa alayhi salam said, you come with your arguments, I have mine. It's coming from the Quran, but it's going through my mind. So we have a philosophy of life, of course. And you have something to give to the contemporary world. It's not only by quoting the Quran. It's quote the Quran, extract the principles, understand the objectives, and deliver. Do something out of it. You should be the driving force of this translation from the text to the context. If not, you are not useful. Not to say you are useless. So here is an important discussion in everything that we have to do with our principle and many levels. The second thing which is critical here is we all agree, and the question I could have been a very short lecture by just repeating what you said. Yes, Assalamu alaikum, see you next year. But there is a point here. Yes, of course. The answer is yes, of course. And because we say yes, of course, we should now ask ourselves, so why do we have such a problem when it comes to the real dimension, the daily life, in our personal life, as well as in our collective social life or political life? Why is there such a problem? And the point is this one. Yes, there is liberty and freedom in Islam. The problem is the relationship between freedom and limitation. Why? Because there is something which is agreed in all the societies, even in the secular societies in Europe. You know, you got this discussion about the cartoons and what happened there was expressing, criticizing the Prophet ﷺ, and say, no, there is no absolute freedom. So we need to deal with this balanced approach between freedom and its limitation. In the name of what are you putting a limit? Who is giving you the right to say no? And who is giving you the right to say yes? So this is where the discussion is difficult and complex, because we are to deal with many dimensions once again. And as a last point, talking at that level, we have to ask ourselves, what would be our contribution? And my main concern tonight is not only to come with a theoretical framework, is to talk to every one of you and say, okay, from where I am in my daily life, in my family, in my society, in the world of today, what could be my contribution, my active personal contribution to this discussion? Which means that when we speak about contribution, we have to face up to your responsibilities. Talking about freedom means you talk about responsibilities, because if you were not to be free, you would have no responsibility. And as you know that you have responsibility, it means that you are free. There is a relationship between freedom and responsibility. So let me come to this and start this discussion at the first level. You come to the realm of Islam and you listen to something which is quite important. The one verse which is telling us something about human being, beyond any specific religious affiliation or belonging. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We gave, Allah is saying in the Quran, we give dignity to human beings. We dignify the very being of this human being. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. So this is beyond the fact that you are Muslim or not. And this is why sometimes when you deal with someone, you have to forget what she or he believes in to remember وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. That you have a dignity beyond what you believe. And this is exactly what a medical doctor should do. When he has someone coming, he's not asking, what is your religion? Muslim? Ta'ala, tfaddal. Non-Muslims? That's not the way to be as a medical doctor. A medical doctor is going to try his best for, or her best for anyone. So the scholars understood this coming with the first verses that we have in Surah Al-Baqarah. And in Surah Al-Baqarah, something was very strange. وَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We don't know what it means. وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا. Allah, God is asking to the angels to prostrate before Adam. وَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. And the angels are praying God permanently. There is no disobedience for them. And the scholars were saying there are two. From the very beginning, when you get this from the very essence of Surah Al-Baqarah at the beginning. The first dimension in Karama is what? Is al-ilm. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah gave knowledge, mind, intellect to the human being. So part of this Karamat al-Insan is his mind and knowledge. This capacity to get knowledge. The second thing, which is also implicitly there in the Quran, and that you understand why there is a status here, when the angel was saying, are you going to put on earth someone who is Yafsukul man? He's going to spread around bloodshed and is going to corrupt the world? I know what you don't know. And there is something which is here, al-hurriya, freedom. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Whoever wants can believe, or she can believe, whoever wants, she or he can deny. So there are two characteristics that are part of al-Qur'an. First is knowledge, and second is freedom. That you have to decide, you have to take a position. And this is something which is so important in our understanding of human being, that even this dream in the Sahih, in the Hadith, which is da'if al-isnad, walakin sihhat al-ma'na, it means that there is something which is deep inside, that the Prophet, peace be upon him, ﷺ, had a dream and seeing the sun and the kids of the kuffar in paradise. And there is something which is important, is that till you get or you reach the age of reason in Islam, you are innocent. You are in permanent prayer. Innocence is the natural state of every human being. And you become to be responsible with the age of reason. Il-Mukallaf means that you have to respond to the call of God. God, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu. He's calling the people who are il-mukallafun. Now you have to respond. I'm telling you, you have to fast, you have to pray. And at the age of reason, when you have a conscience, you have to respond. So with your freedom, you understand that the freedom is the condition of your practice. And il-mukallaf is Allah is asking her or him to respond to his call by practicing her or his religion and all the pillars. So we understand here that in the being there is a karama, and then in what we are asked to do as Muslims, there is the condition of freedom. No responsibility without freedom, and freedom in order to respond to the call of the one who is making us responsible. Before that, innocence. We don't have an original sin in Islam, as in Christianity. There is nothing like this. You are innocent, and then you are responsible. And with your responsibility is in the way you use your freedom. and your dignity. So you are free to dignify your being. Inna akramakum akramakum. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. الكرامة الإنسان is there. Akramakum, the more dignified, is the one who is going to transform his being into a believer. Atqakum, with his God consciousness. You get the point? So you are adding dignity to dignity. But there is a basic dignity at the beginning. And then this is the way you are going to use your freedom. So we have to talk about this and never forget that. Because this is something in our understanding of Islam which is part of the natural. If we say that Islam is a natural religion, let us start with the natural understanding. And some of us in this room, sometimes, when they are dealing with non-Muslims, or they are dealing with atheists and agnostics, in their behavior, they confuse their behavior with their being. You have no right. No one here in this room has the right to judge a being. You only have the right to judge behaviors. Because the dignity of the being at the end of the day is between the human being and God, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So sometimes you see people doing things, and you judge them through what they are doing. And you forget in what they are doing the fact that beyond what they are doing, they have a dignity that you have to respect. And I can tell you something, this is natural in anything which has to do with religion and spirituality. By respecting the people in what they are, sometimes you help them to change what they do. But by judging them to what they do, you don't give them the possibility to change who they are. Your judgment is a jail. You are not letting them use their way of liberating themselves from what they are doing. Because we know this. This is, psychology is telling us something that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was telling us. It's like a dark knot on your heart. You do something and you get used to it, and then it appears to be not so grave, not so dangerous, but you are used to it. So you lie once, you lie twice, and then lies becomes a habit, so nothing wrong with it. I'm used to it. This is what we know with behaviorism. That we keep on doing things and then it doesn't appear something which is serious. So your behavior becomes a jail in which you find your natural way of life. If you want to break this, don't judge the people through their behavior, but try to help them by respecting the being. By telling them, I know that in your being there is a karama helping you to break this jail of the behavior that you have. So this is why we have to start with this. By understanding what I'm saying here, every one of us in this room understands that he has or she has to suspend her or his judgment. Because by the way, everything is possible. Everything is possible with karamat al-insan, while we have the forgetfulness of the behavior. Second thing which is important in our discussion here, which is also for me to add something in our societies. In our discussion about freedom, there is something which is natural, and this is the second step. And what is natural is the natural limitation of freedom are our natural needs. So, I'm free, but I'm not free not to eat. I'm free, but I'm not free not to drink. I'm free, but I'm not free to go at the top of the mountain and just to throw myself from there and say I'm free. There are natural limitations. And this is in all the philosophies, but in Islam is there. Why? It's once again critical for us to come to this natural definition of freedom. Because when you say that, yes, I am free, and this is part of karama, this is part of my dignity, and then I understand that part of my dignity there is something which is natural, which are the natural limitations that I have to drink, that I have to eat, that I have to go through something which is the need of my body, the need of my mind. I need to learn. Why do you have this hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, saying, وَأَعْطِ كُلَّ ذِي حَقٍّ حَقَّهُ? Give to everything, to every organ right. It's right. Transforming your freedom into right. Because it's part of my dignity and I have to eat, it becomes my right to have to eat. It becomes my right to drink. It becomes my right to be educated. And you transform this understanding from freedom to responsibility to right by saying, in every single society, in every human society, if the people don't have what to eat or to drink or to be educated, it means that this society is not protecting the dignity of their being. They are under because to be a Bani Adam means that I have to get my rights to be able to be free. Because if you take from me the fact that I can eat, my freedom is going to disappear. Because how am I going to be free if I cannot eat? How am I going to be free when I cannot drink? You are free during Ramadan, alhamdulillah, because you know that during Maghrib it's coming. But what about a permanent life where it's not coming? Well, this society is forgetting the basic rights of the people. So you want to talk about freedom? Talk about the basic rights protecting the freedom of the people. I'm not going to have my mind free if I have nothing to eat and nothing to drink. So every society which is not providing people with the basic rights is not respecting the Islamic principles. And it means not only drinking and eating, it brings, for example, to be able to have something which is the life of the body. Sexuality is something which is a balanced life, way of life. It's a prayer when you get this in the halal, as the Prophet ﷺ said. The education system is quite important. How am I going to be free from all the alienation if I don't have anything, no knowledge? When we say, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. اقرأ means read. Read means this is my freedom. This is the way I'm getting free from all the system that can just instrumentalize me. So you get here something which is straight away the relationship between freedom and basic rights that we have to struggle for. And any Muslim man and woman today who is not going to understand this, that this is your challenge. If in Malaysia you have people, they don't have to drink, to eat or to drink, they cannot go to school, it means that this society is far from being perfect, and this is our contribution. You want to struggle for freedom? Start also with the basic rights of the people. The basic rights, protecting their dignity. And by the way, not only in Malaysia, around you have other countries, and you have to be involved at the local, international, and worldwide. This is something which is also part of our understanding. Remember something which is also part of this discussion. There is a book which was published in the Middle Age, 12th century, Ibn Tufayl. Ibn Tufayl was writing a book, Hayy ibn al-Yaqazan. Hayy ibn al-Yaqazan is the awake. It's a book which is quite interesting in his understanding of what he was trying to do. In fact, contrary to what was said in the West afterward, it might be the first philosophical novel. It's in fact, you heard about Robinson Crusoe and the Foy and all this story. He's imagining the story of someone who is alone in an island. What is going to do alone in an island? He's free, isn't it? Except that there are the limitations of the island. And then he starts to deal with knowledge to structure his environment. And there is a relationship here that we have between the freedom within the island and starting to put rules. And there is something here which is a relationship. You will not feel your freedom if you are not dealing with rules. The first are the basic needs that I was talking about. And then you are adding rules, helping you to organize your day. And with this, you have rules helping you to get knowledge. This was 12th century. It's in the 20th century with Rousseau and Emmanuel Kant, one the French philosopher, the other one the German philosopher, coming and saying there will be no freedom without rules. We need law to get freedom. Can you tell me what is the first Islamic science? The first Islamic science This is why we are talking in Islam about orthopraxis, much more than orthodoxy. That we are dealing with practice. What is the first dimension? Is it fiqh? And fiqh is what? Law and jurisprudence. Is how do we deal with the environment? How do we structure an environment with law and rules to help us to live together? When, for example, the Prophet, peace be upon him, in Medina, he started with, when he arrived in Medina, it's all about contracts. He's organizing a society. He take the karamat al-insan and then he bring this karamat al-insan into a social fabric and try now to say, how are we going to do with this? What does he do between the Muslims in Mu'akha? That you are the brother of this, and you are the brother of this, and you have to support each other. So it's a contract, a moral contract of brotherhood. And then he has the charter saying to the Jew and to the Christian, Hum min ummatina. They are part of my ummah, they are my people. And what does he add to this? لهم ما لنا وعليهم ما علينا. They have the same rights and the same duties as us. He's over, and when you say the same rights and the same duties, the same freedom. So he puts rules to protect freedom. Why? Because he's listening to something which is quite important in the collectivity, in the community. Something which is unavoidable as a Muslim. We understand the karamat al-insan, we understand the first limitations, but we need to listen to what is coming from the Quran. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. If Allah had willed, He would have made you one community. He didn't want this. وَجَعَلَكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلًا. So He wanted diversity, isn't it? This is part of it. More than that, وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بَعْضًا لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضِ. This is one verse, and the second is what we heard, like فَهُدِّمَتْ صَوَامِعُ وَبِيَعٌ وَصَلَوَاتٌ وَمَسَاجِدُ يُذْكَرُ فِيهَا اسْمُ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا. So we had two verses starting exactly the same. وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ. If Allah had not put a set of people against a set of others, the earth would have been corrupt. Or synagogues, temples, masjid, and temples would have been destroyed. Meaning what? That in fact, there is something which is Allah wanted this diversity. And if He wanted diversity, means that He wanted the freedom to be different. It's my freedom. وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. You can be a Christian, you can be a Jew, you can be whatever, but this is the very will of God.